And welcome to the Jp8 report. This is James Pierce with the report. So this is episode 11. I'm going to call this one Truth and Consequences, or you can call it 0 and 2. All right. So I'm going to start this episode. I'm going to read from the Constitution, which is probably one of the most important documents known to man, except for the Bible. So I'm going to read from Article 1, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, and I'm going to start, let's see, we'll just start with this paragraph. The Senate shall choose their other officers, also the President pro tem, in the absence of the Vice President, and when he shall exercise the office of the President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. In sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or for affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members of members present. So, in all actuality, the impeachment trial that our country just went through was unconstitutional. Okay, because President Trump was president when the impeachment was passed. So, Chief Justice John Roberts should have been the presiding judge on the Senate trial, in which Patrick Leahy decided he wanted to be, because he was the president pro tem, and when John Roberts said, when Chief Justice said he was not going to participate in this trial. So we're going to go over some stuff. This is, matter of fact, this is Sunday, February 14th, 2021. So yesterday was the conclusion of the Senate trial. So a couple of things did happen. And I'm going to get some stuff set up here while we're talking. So yesterday, threw everyone for a loop yesterday when so I got what I want to do. So the trial was going yesterday, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Haskin from Maryland decided he wanted to call a representative for questioning. So now they wanted witnesses. Well, one of the defense attorneys for President Trump said, "Well, if you call this person, we want to call witnesses," which set off an uproar. Because no witness number one for the Republicans was going to be the Speaker, and then the Vice President. So what proceeded then was a vote to accept witnesses by a vote of, I believe it was 56 to 44. And then at the very last minute, during the vote, Senator Lindsey Graham stood up and said, "I want to change my vote to yes." And people were like, "Well, why did he vote yes?" Because it's like all of a sudden they said, "Oh, great, he's going to vote for impeachment." Well, it was a twofold thing. Okay, he said later on in his statement that he voted yes because he wanted to call multiple witnesses. So if they're going to call witnesses on the left, we want to call witnesses on the right. Uh, Good point, but it was a little bit more strategic, and he didn't go into it at all. But I learned from my times being on a dais, when you vote in affirmation of anything, okay, remember, if you vote in favor of it, you have the right to make a motion for reconsideration. That means the vote can come back up and you can re-vote it to make sure that's the will of the people that were actually voting. And I actually lost a vote like that one time. Not for me, but someone else played that card on us, took us all by surprise. It's amazing what you learn little by little when you're in politics. So the Robert's Rules of Order, people go, oh wow, that's too easy. No. If you're a master politician, like some of our politicians are in Washington, they know how to play the game, and they're very skillful at it. Okay, so that was a good move on his part. Okay, let's see. So I told y'all it was unconstitutional according to Article 1, Section 3 of the United States Constitution. I'll say it again. It is unconstitutional. What are we going to do now? President Trump's a former president. So whenever we don't like someone after they leave office, not only are they going to write, what do we have to do? 52 executive orders that have been written by President Biden, just trying to clean the slate of everything that President Trump did. And I'll say again, if you're going to present an executive order, there should be legislation behind it to support it. And all these policy letters, it's crazy. If you don't like it, make legislation for it. Okay. So Article 1, Section 3 is the only way you can prosecute a president. Okay, in the Senate. So Biden does something crazy. They don't like it. Republicans take over. They can initiate an impeachment, and he'd be in a nursing home somewhere at age 90 and say, well, we're going to impeach Joe Biden because we didn't like what he did to the Keystone Pipeline and arbitrarily put 56,000 Americans out of jobs. See, it goes both ways, people. Admiral Leahy should not have voted. He is just the president pro tem. He's third in line of succession to the presidency. Okay, that's all he is. He's a senior Democrat in the Senate, and that's the only mark to fame is if something should happen to the president, the vice president, the Speaker of the House, then he would become president. Okay, he's very old. He's a Democratic senator from Vermont, just like Bernie Sanders, a Democratic senator from Vermont. And if something should happen to those two senators, their governor is a Republican. Okay, so they're holding on for dear life to their political office because they know what would happen if they can't fulfill the duties of their office. Forgive me, I'm drinking some hot chocolate. It's like low 20s here. We're in preparation of the biggest weather storm in the history of Central Texas. Tuesday morning, supposed to be 0 degrees for a low. I don't know how we're going to survive. Not burn down a mesquite tree. Let's see. Representative Bueller, she's from Washington State. She did the whole thing about the witnesses started from her. She said that she heard that President Trump told Minority Leader McCarthy that, and it was hearsay, that he had told McCarthy that something to the point of, I guess the people are more upset about the election than you are. There's no documentation for it. no recording for it. It's just her word. Okay. Um, and she voted for impeachment also. Um, so we know where she stands. I was reading this morning that the total cost of the impeachment um, trial was close to $3 or $4 million, and this is because they call it a snap impeachment. Okay, um, can you imagine if they went through the whole impeachment inquiry and investigations and depositions? Uh, they were saying that President Clinton's impeachment was like close to $50 million. Okay, your money, not their money, your money. Okay, I heard a joke this morning on Facebook that I was reading. Um, it had President Trump calling Speaker Pelosi and said, phone rings, and she says, "Who's this?" And he says, "Owen." And she said, "Who's Owen?" And he responded, "O and 2." Okay, 0 wins, 2 losses. Okay, you can laugh if you want now. Okay, send me a comment. I think that's kind of lame, but it's funny. So this comes to what I was wanted to talk about also. 2 impeachment trials, both ended in failures. Okay, and before we go to that, we'll try one more thing. Okay, I'm going to read a paragraph from President Biden's statement he made to the country. He made last night. While the final vote did not lead to conviction, the substance of the charge is not in dispute, Biden wrote. Even those who oppose the conviction, like Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, believe Donald Trump is guilty of disgraceful dereliction of duty and practically and morally responsible for provoking the violence unleashed on the Capitol. I don't know. Are we just destined to collapse from within because of the stupidness people say? I listen, I've been in politics for a long time, and I understand you have to say stuff to get people to go out and vote, or people just won't go out and vote. No matter what you do or what you say, they just won't. So you get out and you gotta motivate them and encourage them and entice them. Like, go do this, go vote, go vote, go vote. But and that's part of being a politician. You're always trying to push people to do the better thing. I'll tell you again, I listened to that speech on the 6th of January. I was actually watching it on TV. I never heard him say, go riot, go seize the building, tell them exactly what you're doing, get in their faces. Get in their faces. Oh, that was Maxine Waters. Sorry about that. It's an insightful, spiteful Democrat that shouldn't be in Congress. So, what was that? Oh, yeah. So he said that peacefully and patriotically tell them what you want. Peacefully. If you're a true Trump supporter, you'll be peaceful in what you're doing. Okay? We're peaceful and we vote. Right? And hopefully a lot of other people will continue to vote. I voted all my life. Okay? Man, this is, I was going to say that Biden was correct in staying out of the whole fray of impeachment until when I woke up this morning and I read that on the internet. Now he's in the middle of the fray. It's one big conspiracy, people. They hate President Trump and they will do everything in their power to almost erase him from the whole political scene. because as long as the Democrats have someone to beat up on, they can try to raise money off of it. But mark my word, as Trump people need to continue to fight for what we want in our country, and don't let the Democrats to run roughshod over all of us. Or if we just roll over and let them do what they want, we're going to pay a price for decades unless our country just collapses. And we're on the verge of it now. We got a 50-50 country, and people hate each other. People on social media steadily block people and unfriend people because lifelong friends all of a sudden say something that they don't agree with. And they say, I'm not dealing with this, block, unfriend. I've had to do it for several people. I mean, I'm afraid that someone's going to try to report me. And I state my opinion, but I state facts, okay? I don't encourage people to go out and assault people with weapons or rocks or, burn buildings down. Wait a minute, that's the Northwest in Minnesota. And a certain person from California, that people do that. I can go on and on from some of these people. After the impeachment trial was done yesterday, two members of the president's defense team was interviewed. Both of them, Mr. Castor and Mr. Van Devine. Mr. Devine, he said his home was graffiti, and what they did is someone on his driveway spray painted the word traitor on it in red and drew an arrow toward his house. That his wife found it. And Bruce Castor said his home was vandalized. Why? If you don't agree with someone, if you don't agree that someone should have a fair trial, you're living in the wrong country. Everybody has the right to defense. Okay? Since when do we live in a country where you're automatically guilty? No, you have the right to defend yourself. It's in the Bill of Rights. If you don't believe me, pick up a book and read it. I had a sergeant major tell me one time, and tell a whole bunch of us. He said, if there's ever a way you want to try to hide something from an NCO, put it in a book, because a lot of people refuse to read. Okay, so pick up that book. Pick up that pamphlet that says the United States Constitution and read all the articles and all the amendments. Okay? You'd be surprised how our rights are being violated from. Okay? Remember, the Five Basic Freedoms Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Sixth, the Seventh, Eighth, Ninth, all the way to number 28. Okay? We have our basic rights as Americans. Okay? They should never be said you are innocent until proven guilty. And there's no way, shape, or form. You think all these lawyers out there, like there must be tens of millions of lawyers out there in our country, they have the right to defend their clients. And in no shape, form should a lawyer be discriminated against because he wants to help his client get proper representation. Okay? So why do we act like this? Why do we have to be at each other's throats all the time? Right is right and wrong is wrong. People like me, we have conservative principles we abide by. Liberals, they abide by a certain set of liberal principles. We need to respect each other's viewpoints because we're not always going to get along. But we should be able to talk to each other. Okay, we won't always agree politically, but we need to be able to get along with each other, because we're we're not just Republicans, we're not just Democrats, not just libertarians or socialists or communists or Green Party or Reform Party or Whigs or Democratic Republicans or progressives or conservatives. Uh, the list goes on and on. We're Americans. All these people say, I'm dash and that. I'm that dash that. There's no such thing as a dash American. Our heritage is full of flaws, and we improve on it every day. But if you continue to separate and segregate Americans because they're a dash person, you're failing yourself and you're failing your country. Okay? I'm a third Irish, but I don't run around calling myself an Irish American. Okay? I'm a Republican. I don't run around calling myself a Republican American. I'm a Texan. Man, there's so much pride in this almost 30 million Texans. I don't run around calling us a Texan American. Sometimes I mess around and say, hey, I'm a Texan, we're better than everybody else. You know what? We're Americans. We're Americans first. We're Americans, and we hold those weapons and we defend our country and we support and defend the Constitution. When we go overseas, like the OIF or OEF or Inherent Resolve, we don't go there and put Texas flags on our right shoulder. No, we put American flag. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on that one. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is this is my recommendation of the consequences of what happened with the first trial and the second trial of President Donald John Trump. Okay, these people wasted our time and our money on these impeachments. If you're going to bring an impeachment against the president, you need to make sure it's not a waste of time. Why would you impeach the president of the United States when you know you can't surpass the 67 vote threshold to get a conviction? It doesn't make sense. You're wasting our time. You need to. That's why you have impeachment inquiries. If you feel like you have enough of a consensus to convict the president in the Senate, is when you should proceed with the impeachment articles against the president. Okay. Other than that, it's a witch hunt. It's a waste of time and it's a waste of our money. So these people need to be out of office. Okay, and I'm going to go over their names again. I'm going to start with the Democrats, okay? Speaker Pelosi, okay? Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn, okay? Pelosi is California, Hoyer is from Maryland, Clyburn is from South Carolina. They need to resign immediately. They disrespected our country. Fraud, waste, and abuse. Through the little political rhetoric that they always can. Pelosi tore up a speech to the president that belonged in the National Archives according to federal law. Okay, I'm calling up her, Hoyer, and Clyburn. They need to step down. Okay, Schumer, Leahy, okay, and Durbin, they need to step down. Those six Democrats need to step down immediately because all they did was embarrass and disrespect the United States of America. Okay, for for projecting a fraud on the American government and American people and around the world, that what they did was so disrespectful and dishonest. And those are leadership people, okay? The House impeachment managers, okay? There's two groups of these guys, okay? They did the same thing. They couldn't even convict the president. If they thought they had a good enough case to bring to court, they lost, okay? And usually, when a lawyer loses, his practice goes away, okay? Let's see. Representatives Liu from California, Negus from Colorado, Plaskett from the Virgin Islands. She's not even in the Congress. She's a non-voting member of Congress. Swalwell, the Chinese communist sympathizer from California. Raskin from Maryland. Castro from Texas. Cicilline from Rhode Island. Dean from Pennsylvania. And Degetti from Colorado. That's from the most recent Senate impeachment manager, or from the House. Okay, from the House impeachment managers from the first impeachment, which was right before the COVID hit, or right in the middle of the COVID. Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff. He has no business being in Congress. He has no business being anywhere except for in Beverly Hills and North Hollywood that he represents. Okay, Jerry Nadler, Mr. Humpty Dumpty himself, that he has not a clue that what's going on around him, from New York. Hakeem Jeffries from New York. Hofgren from California. Dimmings from Florida. Crow from Colorado, and Garcia from Texas. All those people should go. Either vote them out, or they need to go. Okay. The 10 Republicans that voted in the House in the most recent impeachment, and there was none in the first one. Okay. Liz Cheney from Wyoming, Rice, South Carolina, Newhouse from Washington, Kitzinger from Illinois, Gonzalez from Ohio, Fred Upton from Michigan, Bueller, the troublemaker herself, from Washington, Muir from Michigan, Katko from New York, Valadao from California. Those Republicans need to either be primaried and voted out, or they need to step aside. Okay. And then the United States senators in their vote yesterday. Okay. Richard Burr, he's retiring, so he's not going to run for re-election. We need a good conservative Republican to replace him. Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, he just got re-elected just a matter of a couple months ago. Susan Collins. Well, the problem is with Cassidy. He's a Democratic governor in Louisiana, so he's stuck. Susan Collins from Maine. This is going to be her last term because she's like close to 80 years old already. So she's going to survive this last term probably. And there's a Democratic governor in her state, Lisa Murkowski. She's up for re-election. Take her out. Wait, I can't say take them out anymore. Primary and defeat her at the ballot box. Mitt Romney, he has 4 years left on his term, but they have a Republican governor. Okay. Ben Sasse, he just got re-elected. We're stuck with him for 6 more years. And Pat Toomey's retiring after this term, so we need to somehow get a conservative Republican in there to take his spot in a deep red state, deep blue state. It's called mediocre. You know who would be a good person to take Pat Toomey's place? I can believe his name is Sean Parnell. He just lost a congressional election in Southwest Southwest Pennsylvania. He's an Army Ranger. He knows what he's doing. He's very patriotic. He's very smart. He understands how the process works. In conclusion to this for the day, for this episode, we don't need to go through this again. I know we have impeachment in our Constitution, but it should be reserved for when we know we're going to get a conviction. Okay. I can't believe we all went through, and these people are still talking. I mean, it's like just joking around. It's like if you ever watched the movie with The Alamo with Billy Bob Thornton, the new version, which I personally like over the old version of John Wayne, but both of them are good. But there's a scene in there where Jim Bowie and William Barrett Travis are having a debate, and Colonel Travis says, "Well, let's have a vote. All in favor, of me being your leader, say aye. And then all in favor of Colonel Bowie, say aye. You know, and then according to the script, William Barrett Colonel Travis lost. And then he says, well, regular army has to follow me because they can't follow militia. And then Colonel Bowie in the back says, well, so you lose your vote and you change the rules. They keep changing the rules on us. First you lose an impeachment, and you lose another impeachment. You fail at a coup to get the existing president out of office, and then it just keeps going. And then there's talk of doing a censure. Well, at least the Speaker of the House last night, she said no. Okay, that's a start. And there's still talk about trying to invoke Article 4, an article out of the 14th Amendment against President Trump, and then there's some people saying that they won't file criminal charges against him. They just keep trying. They just keep trying to take him out. You know, sometimes as a leader you make decisions that people really don't like, and that's what President Trump did for 4 years. And he was criticized every step of the way, and they hate him for it. They absolutely hated him for it. There's no call for that. So that's my view. Like I said, I like to try to keep these for about 15 to 20 minutes. This was a really good podcast to build amongst everybody. I hope everybody has a good day, and then let's build our country back up. Conservatives need to go on a march and prepare for these elections that are 2 years away. We can do this. We can do it. We can do it. Just got to stay positive and get out there and run for office. So remember, Jp8 Report. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble. You need to make sure you subscribe and share it out so your friends can see this. You can reach me at, I'm going to put my screen up as I'm signing off. So thank y'all everybody for listening. Remember, you can get me at the Jp8 Report on Rumble or YouTube. I'm primarily on Rumble. Okay, but subscribe and you'll get it whenever I publish it. You can email me at jp8report@gmail.com, and you'll see me on Facebook. Like my page and leave comments and spread the word that I'm out there. And until next time, Jp8 Report out.